Hello class, today we are going to be going over lesson 4.3, how to simplify expressions. So let's start this section with some definitions. So for starters, let's learn about a coefficient. So a coefficient is the number in front of a variable. So if we're looking at a variable here like x, then the coefficient attached to it is this 3. So the variable is x and the coefficient is 3, simply because that is attached to it. Now this reads 3 times x, but we'll often just say 3x. That'll be the way we talk about it in class. Now the next definition we have is that of like terms. So like terms are the numbers that share the same variable. So for example here, in the expression 2 plus 3x plus 4 plus 2y plus x, 2 and 4 are like terms because they both have no variable attached to them. 3x and x are like terms because they both have an x attached to them. And finally, 2y has no like terms because there's no other y in this expression. So when we combine like terms, what we do is we actually add them together. So the previous expression would become 4x plus 2y plus 6 because 3x plus x is equal to 4x. 2 plus 4 is equal to 6, and then obviously y did not have any like terms. All right, so let's look at this expression here. So negative 4b plus negative 9k minus 6 minus 3b plus 12. All right, so let's identify what are like terms here. So for starters, we have a negative 4b here. Well, let's find out what else has what else has a b attached to it. We see this negative 3b has it. Then we can look at anything with a k term. So is there anything else we can find with a k here? No, there is not, so that one's by itself. And then finally, any non-variables. So I have a negative 6 and a positive 12. So the way we want to move these around is we want to group them together by putting parentheses around them. So you want to group the coefficient and the like term itself, and you also want to group whatever sign is in front of it. So see here how I'm grouping the 6, but also the subtraction sign in front. And same here with this 3b. I'm grouping the 3b, but also the subtraction sign in front. And finally, this 12 also gets grouped as such. So I'm going to rearrange these starting with the 9k in the front. So remember, the negative 9k did not have any like terms, so I'm going to put it by itself. And then I'm going to add, and I'm going to keep in parentheses my negative 4b and my negative 3b. And then finally, we're going to add in our 12 and our negative 6. So real important thing to notice here is we kept the signs that was attached in front of all of our coefficients there. So with this negative 3b, for example, instead of just moving down 3b and leaving that negative sign, we took the negative sign with us. Even though it was originally a subtraction sign, we just turned it into a negative sign. Now we're going to combine these here. So our negative 9k will stay the same. For this one here, we want to add together our coefficients. So a negative 4 plus a negative 3, that's going to be a negative 7, so we'll get negative 7b. And for this part right here, 12 plus negative 6 will give us 6. So our final expression would be 9k plus negative 7b plus 6. All right, next question here. So negative 2.8f plus 0.9f minus 12 minus 4. All right, again, we want to group together our like terms here. So I want to identify everything with an f. I have a negative 2.8, and I have a 0.9. And I want to identify everything with no variables. So I have a negative 12 and a negative 4. Again, we want to make sure we group these all together here. So we have a negative 2.8, a positive 0.9, a negative 12, and a negative 4. So when I'm rewriting it down below, I can write a 0.9f plus negative 2.8f plus negative 12 plus negative 4. And this is what our expression will become. The reason we're able to arrange it like this is the commutative and the associative properties. So the associative property lets us put parentheses around it, and the commutative property lets us move it around however we choose, as long as we keep those negative signs attached to the numbers. All right, so 0.9f plus negative 2.8f would give us negative 1.9f. I'm going to be adding to that negative 12 and negative 4 would be a negative 16. So we should get negative 1.9f plus negative 16. That's how we simplify that expression there. All right, so 8h plus negative 7.3d minus 14 plus 5d minus 3.2. Again, let's group up everything that's together here. So I have an 8h, I have a negative 3.2h, I have a negative 7.3d, I have a 5d, and finally I have a negative 14 right here. So we'll group them up again. So 8h right here, negative 7.3d, negative 14, positive 5d, and negative 3.2h. So let's rearrange it starting with the h's in the front. So I have an 8h plus negative 3.2h. I'm going to be adding to that a negative 7.3d plus a 5d. And then we're adding to that a negative 14. All right. So 8h plus negative 3.2h, that would give us a 4.2h. Negative 7.3d plus 5d would give us a negative 2.3d. And then finally, negative 14 is going to stay the same, so we're just going to keep that negative 14 there. So our final expression would be 4.2h plus negative 2.3d plus negative 14. That's the reduced expression. All right, so explain whether 11t minus 4t is equivalent to 4t minus 11t. We want to support our answer by evaluating the expression for t is equal to negative 2. All right, so is 11t minus 4t equal to 4t minus 11t? All right, well, let's think. Let's simplify what we have on the left side here. So 11t minus 4t, hopefully we can all see here that we would get 7t, right? Because 11 minus 4 would be equal to 7. Again, we're looking at the coefficients in front of the variable. Then here we have 4t minus 11t. So 4t minus 11t would give us negative 7t. All right, so are these equal? We have a question mark there. All right, well, do we think they're equal? I would say they're only equal in one case, and that's when t is equal to 0, right? So when t is equal to 0, these will be equal. But otherwise, they are not, because this side is positive and this side is negative. Now we want to check our work by substituting t in for 2. So now we have 11 times 2 minus 4 times 2 is equal to 4 times 2 minus 11 times 2. So is this true? Well, we get 22. 22 minus 8, which is equal to 14. And we get 8 minus 22, which is equal to negative 14. So nope, these are not equal. You can see that there. They're opposites. All right, so today we learned about coefficients. And remember, the coefficients are the numbers in front of the variables. We also learned about like terms. Like terms are numbers in our expression that share the same variable. And then finally, we learned about combining like terms. And we did that using the commutative property to rearrange it, the associative property to group it, and then we added together the coefficients, added or subtracted them. All right, class, I will see you all tomorrow. You have a great rest of your day, and bye, everyone.